The xenobiology lecture hall fell silent as Professor Vexter activated the containment field. Inside the shimmering barrier, something ancient stirred. Today, the Krellian professor announced, his mandibles clicking with barely concealed anxiety, we demonstrate why humanity should never have been admitted to the Galactic Academy. Daisy looked up from her datapad, auburn hair falling across her face. Around her, the other students, a mixture of species from across known space, leaned forward in their seats. The crystalline lumens refracted nervous light. The amphibious creche secreted stress pheromones that made the air thick and acrid. Is this going to be another humans are dangerous lecture? Oscar whispered from the seat beside her, his Chicago accent carrying further than intended. Because I've got a calculus exam to study for. Several alien heads swiveled toward them. A Vordian hissed softly. Professor Vexter S3 eyes focused on the two humans. Mock if you wish, Oscar Chen. But what I'm about to release has evolved on death worlds across 12 systems. It is the apex predator of nightmares, the biological embodiment of primal terror. My species engineered it millennia ago to guard our most sacred temples. Even we fear it. He gestured to his teaching assistant, a nervous Plix who kept all four of his hands trembling. Note the physiological responses of the class. Elevated stress hormones, defensive postures. This is instinct. This is wisdom written in genetic code. Daisy exchanged a glance with Oscar. They'd been best friends since freshman year. The only two humans in their xenobiology cohort. She'd learned to read his expressions right now. He was more curious than concerned. The creature is called a Drukath, Vexter continued. In your human tongue, a fear beast. It stands 2 meters at the shoulder. Its hide deflects most energy weapons. Its claws can shear through reinforced titanium. But most importantly, and this is why we use it in demonstrations, it possesses a unique ability. The professor's voice dropped. It can sense fear. It feeds on it, grows stronger from it, and it targets the most afraid first. Around the lecture hall, students shifted uncomfortably. The lumens dimmed their natural glow, trying to make themselves less visible. The creche pulled their limbs tight against their bodies. I'm releasing it now, Vexter announced. The containment field will keep it in the demonstration area, but I want you all to observe your reactions. Feel your fear. Understand it. This is the legacy of evolution, the price of consciousness. The barrier dissolved. The Drukath emerged like smoke given form. It was massive, just as promised, a nightmare rendered in midnight black scales and rippling muscle. Its eyes burned like dying stars, ancient and hungry. The head was almost draconic but wrong, with too many angles and a mouth that split in ways that violated comfortable geometry that it roared. The sound wasn't just noise, it was primal, the sort of thing that spoke to the oldest parts of the brain, the parts that remembered when their ancestors were prey. Students screamed. Some bolted for the exits. A Vordian fainted. The Plix teaching assistant dove under the demonstration table. The Drukath's massive head swung across the room, nostrils flaring, tasting the fear in the air like a connoisseur sampling vintage wine. Then it paused. Daisy had remained in her seat. So had Oscar. Oscar said, tilting his head. It's kind of like a dog. Oscar don't, Daisy started, but he was already standing. The Drukath's burning eyes locked onto him. The creature's muscles bunched, preparing to leap. Professor Vexter screamed a warning in 3 languages simultaneously. Oscar climbed over the seat in front of him and dropped into the demonstration area. Who's a good fear monster? He said, approaching with his hand extended. Who's a big scary boy? The Drukath's head tilted, almost exactly like a confused dog. Its nostrils flared again, searching for the terror it expected. Finding nothing. Oscar, you absolute idiot, Daisy muttered, but she was already moving to join him. If her best friend was going to get eaten by a fear beast, she wasn't about to let him do it alone. She vaulted the barrier separating the students from the demonstration floor. The creature's gaze snapped to her. She felt its attention like a physical weight, something vast and ancient turning to examine her properly. Still, she felt no fear. Caution, yes. Respect for a powerful predator, certainly. But fear. The thing that made your hands shake and your mind go blank. She'd grown up in rural Montana. She'd been charged by a grizzly when she was 12. She'd stared down a mountain lion at 16. Earth's megafauna had taught humanity a different kind of caution, the kind that kept you alert and smart, not paralyzed. It's magnificent, Daisy breathed. Coming to stand beside Oscar. Professor, what does it eat normally? Just fear, or does it need actual sustenance? The Drukath, still searching for terror that wasn't there, made a sound somewhere between a growl and a whine. Confused, uncertain. Oscar slowly extended his hand. May I? For a long moment, nothing happened. The entire lecture hall held its collective breath. Even the students who'd fled to the exits had stopped to watch. Then this ancient weapon of terror, this apex predator of nightmares, did something that no one had ever recorded in 12,000 years of Krellian history. It closed the distance and pressed its massive head against Oscar's palm. "Oh," Oscar said softly. "Oh, you're just lonely, aren't you?" The creature's eyes dimmed from burning stars to something softer, almost amber. A sound rumbled from its chest, not quite a puff, but close enough to make Daisy smile. "Professor," she called out, not taking her eyes off the droop, "I think your fear beast is starving." "Impossible," Vexter sputtered, finally emerging from behind his podium. "It was fed just last cycle. We exposed it to a controlled group of not for food." Daisy interrupted gently. "For fear. You said it feeds on fear. But what happens when you only ever feed it fear? When every interaction is terror and panic?" She ran her hand along the creature's scaled neck. The hide was warm, almost hot to the touch. "It's been eating nothing but fear for millennia. No wonder it's confused by us." The Drukoth made that sound again, the almost Then, with surprising grace for something so massive, it circled once while sun settled onto the demonstration floor. It rested its enormous head across Oscar's feet and closed its eyes. Within seconds, it was asleep. The lecture hall erupted in chaos. Students babbling in a dozen languages, Professor Vexter frantically consulting with colleagues via the Plix teaching assistant cautiously emerging from under the table. All four eyes wide with disbelief. Daisy sat down beside the sleeping fear beast, Oscar joining her. They leaned against its warm flank like it was the world's most dangerous couch. "Think we're going to pass this class?" Oscar asked. "Oh, definitely," Daisy grinned. "We just befriended the galactic boogeyman. That's got to be worth extra credit." The Drukoth snored softly, a sound like distant thunder. For the first time in 12,000 years, the fear beast wasn't hungry. It had finally found something more nourishing than terror. It had found humans who looked at it and saw not a monster, but just another magnificent creature trying to exist in a complicated universe. And that was far more powerful than fear could ever be.